Mr. Stallone, looking good.
I need a job. Can you give me a job? I need a job.
Anything you need.
Really? Hey, you guys got that on video? I need a job.
How are you?
He said I have a job.
Look good.
I need a job. Expendables 4.
In a restaurant on the streets of Brooklyn, New York, the buzz of activities filled the airs, forming a routine that the patrons and workers were seemingly used to. Among the employees was Maria, a 23-year-old law student and a dedicated worker who had spent 3 years serving as a waitress to support herself through college. Maria always moved graciously as she served each table with a smile on her face. For Maria, life hadn't been easy. It had always been tough and challenging as she masked her hardship with a warm smile, but her resilience and commitment to her job remained unshaken and unwavering. And that was one truth that her co-workers could attest to. Unknown to her, life had other plans in store. On this particular night, Maria decided to take up the night shift, to earn a little extra for college. She knew it wasn't going to be easy, but she was willing to take the chance. As she served each guest with speed and a weary smile, Mrs. Luna, her boss, called for her. "Maria, I want you to attend a special guest that we'll be having tonight. I want you to take good care of him," she said. Maria looked puzzled. Who exactly was this guest? She nodded to Mrs. Luna and walked away, carrying on with serving tables. Minutes later, a distinguished guest entered the restaurant. It was none other than Sylvester Stallone, the legendary actor whose career had left an ineradicable mark on Hollywood. Stallone settled into his seat, and almost instantly, he drew the attention of the other patrons in the room. Everyone took out their phones and began taking pictures of him. Stallone looked at everyone and smiled as he waved in appreciation. While the buzz about his presence spread, Maria focused on giving this incredible man the most excellent service for the night. Maria approached Stallone's table with as much charisma as she could yield. She introduced herself as his waitress for the night, and she offered him recommendations from the menu. This was going to be an interesting night. As the actor placed his order, their exchange was brief yet comforting for Maria as she became more relaxed around Stallone. Maria noticed how humble he was. As they conversed, he treated her with respect as though she was one of his. His demeanor was welcoming, and this was far different from other encounters she had with people in similar positions of prominence. With the menu in his hands, Stallone ordered a cup of ginger tea with the restaurant's finest, apple tart. Noting that he had a sweet tooth, Maria quickly set to work. As he enjoyed his meal, Stallone engaged in brief discussions with Maria. He expressed his discomfort eating alone and offered her a seat beside him as she also attended to his needs. While filling his cup of ginger tea and keeping him company, Maria immediately knew Stallone had left an impression on her. He constantly listened to all she had to say about the restaurant and dish recommendations. Maria couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in making the evening enjoyable for such a notable guest. For her, it was all a part of her commitment to work and making sure the guests all had amazing experiences. From discreetly checking on the table to see when he was about to run out of a meal, to sharing brief moments of conversation when appropriate, she left a strong impression on Stallone. The smile on his face said it all. For Maria, this was just part of her commitment to her work, a work that she was deeply dedicated to, as it included offering nothing but the best services. As the night continued, Stallone, who seemed intrigued by her work ethic and her hospitable behavior, asked her questions about herself. At first, Maria was hesitant. She told Stallone that she didn't want to get fired over small talks. Sensing her apprehension, Stallone assured her that she would still have her job no matter what. His genuine appearance encouraged her to share a table with the superstar. Maria soon found herself speaking about her dream of becoming a lawyer and her relentless determination to fund her education. It has not been easy. Law school wasn't a hard nut to crack, and I've had my down days and fun times too, Maria admitted with a smile. But I know that soon it'll be worth it someday. Stallone listened attentively to the waitress who caught his attention. With the occasional nodding and smiles, anyone could tell that his interest was genuine, not out of politeness or pity, but because her story resonated within him. As the conversation deepened, Maria shared her family's struggles being the first child with 2 younger siblings to take care of. With the meager salary her parents earned, she had to step in. Stallone listened closely as he offered words of encouragement and support. Maria found herself inspired by Stallone's words about perseverance, patience, and the importance of believing in oneself. Stallone shared a few of his struggles in the industry with Maria, the hardships that he experienced, how he faced so many rejections before his one big breakthrough. "People told me I'd never make it," he said, his tone reflective. "But I didn't give up. You remind me of that, Maria. That fire to keep going no matter what life throws at you." Maria's eyes glistened with gratitude. His words gave her a sense of validation and renewed energy to pursue her dreams. The night continued with Stallone savoring all the meals Maria had recommended. Understanding his preferences, she was determined to give him the best. As the evening wound down, Stallone placed his napkin neatly on the table and signaled for the bill. Maria quickly brought it to him. He smiled as he took a pen, scribbling something on the receipt, before folding it carefully and placing it on the table with a generous tip. "Thank you for your kindness tonight," Stallone said, his voice sincere. "Keep working hard. You're going places, Maria." She smiled and thanked him for letting her serve him and be of company to him. She watched him leave, his figure disappearing through the doorway, the murmur of admiration from the other patrons following in his wake. Once he was gone, Maria turned her attention to the receipt. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it. Beneath the total was a handwritten message. The note expressed Stallone's gratitude to Maria. He encouraged her and assured her that her future was in good hands. He also dropped off her contact card with Maria and told her that she could reach out to him and he would provide as much encouragement as she needed. Next to the note was a tip amount that took Maria's breath away. It wasn't just generous, it was an amount that Maria hardly came across. The tip was enough to cover not just her next semester's expenses, but to ease several of the financial burdens she had been carrying. Maria's knees wobbled as she picked up the tip. Stallone had casually tipped her an extra $5,000. The weight of Stallone's words settled over her, and for the first time that evening, Maria felt like every other college student, hustling through life. She believed she was someone who had a lot of potential beyond the confines of the restaurant. She slipped the receipt in her pocket as she walked away with gratitude in her heart and a smile radiantly on her face. After the restaurant closed for the day, Maria sat in the locker room, staring at the money that had been neatly folded beneath the receipt. Excitedly, she showed it to Mrs. Luna, who was very pleased with her and was genuinely happy for her. She found herself wondering, who would have thought that a random night shift would lead to this? Tears welled up in her eyes as she folded the note carefully and tucked it into her bag. It wasn't just the money, but the recognition and validation that her hard work had received. It hadn't gone unnoticed. The following days felt surreal. Maria continued her shifts at the restaurant, but there was a new joy that followed her movements. As she carried on with her work, she couldn't help but smile and constantly glance over at the table she shared with Stallone the night before. For the first time in a while, Maria was ready to live above the struggles of college, family, and bills. One evening, while Maria carried on with her studies, she found herself holding Stallone's card. She debated whether she should call or forget all about their conversation. What if he barely remembers me? Torn between whether to call or not, Maria took a bold step and dialed the number on the card. To her surprise, Stallone answered. She introduced herself to Stallone as the waitress from the restaurant. "I could never forget the lady who kept me company that night." "What a pleasant surprise, Maria," he said. His warm tone put Maria at ease. She thanked him for the huge tip, and how unexpected yet perfectly timed it was. As they exchanged pleasantries, Stallone was determined to know more about her aspirations beyond working in the restaurant. "You're studying law, right? What do you want to do with that?" Stallone asked. Maria shared with Stallone her love for human rights activism and how she hoped to work with them someday. "But it feels so far away. Out of my reach." "Nothing is ever out of reach, Maria. If you're willing to push for it, fight for it, and sacrifice for it, you'd surely get it," Stallone said firmly. "Keep pushing, Maria. And if you ever need my guidance, I'm here. You have so much to offer. Don't give up." Maria ended the call with the utmost appreciation and gratitude to Stallone. She thanked him for making out time to have such discussions with her despite his busy schedule. She knew he had a lot to attend to, and this call meant so much to her. Maria heaved a sigh as she ended the call. She kept on repeating Stallone's words. "You have so much to offer. Don't give up." She held her phone tightly as she felt a surge of determination over her. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. Maria found herself juggling late shifts at the restaurant. After she served Stallone, in the days that followed, Mrs. Luna kept her in charge of other people of high profiles, serving and attending to their needs. Managing school and work, Maria remained high-spirited. Every time she faced a difficult customer or a particularly dense legal concept, she reminded herself of Stallone's encouragement. If he could do it, so could she. One evening, after an exhausting shift, Maria received an unexpected email. She rubbed her tired eyes and clicked on the message. It was from Stallone's assistant. The email contained an invitation to an event Stallone was hosting, a fundraiser for underprivileged students. The message explained that Stallone had been inspired by Maria's story, and he believed that his fundraiser could serve as an eye-opener for Maria, since human rights were what she wanted to fight for. He wanted her to attend as his guest. Maria's heart raced as she reread the email. She had never been to such an event before, but the thought of being in a room full of influential people was both thrilling and terrifying. A meeting with high-profiled men? Maria knew all too well that this could be a life-changing opportunity. The night of the event arrived quickly. Maria stood before her mirror, adjusting the simple but elegant dress she had borrowed from a co-worker. Everyone expressed their happiness for Maria as she told Mrs. Luna that she would be taking the night off. Mrs. Luna even offered a few beauty tips that she could use to glam up for the event. Her nerves threatened to overwhelm her, but she reminded herself of why she was going. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a law student with a story to tell. She was Maria, resilient, determined, and capable. The venue was breathtaking, a grand hall adorned with chandeliers that sparkled like stars. Maria hesitated at the entrance, feeling out of place among the elegantly dressed attendees. But then she saw Stallone across the room. He spotted her almost instantly and waved her over with a warm smile. His gesture melted away her fears. She quickly walked up to Stallone. "Maria, you made it," Stallone greeted her, his voice filled with genuine delight. He was happy that she accepted his invitation. He introduced her to several prominent guests, and as they exchanged pleasantries, Stallone shared her story of resilience and determination with the other guests. He told them all about how they met at the restaurant and how she had kept his company for the night. Maria's cheeks flushed with both pride and shyness as Stallone spoke about her. To her surprise, the guests listened intently, asking her questions about her studies and aspirations, as they too were intrigued and eager to know more about her. As the evening progressed, Maria found herself engaging in conversations with lawyers, philanthropists, and activists. All this felt so surreal to her. One woman, a renowned human rights lawyer named Lucy Gray, was particularly interested in Maria's academic field. "You've already shown incredible tenacity," Lucy said to her. "If you're ever looking for mentorship or opportunities, here's my card." She slipped a small business card into Maria's hand. Maria expressed her gratitude as she hoped to work with Lucy in the future. As the event continued, Stallone pulled her aside. "Maria, you're going to make an impact in this world. I see it in you. Just remember to stay true to yourself and your dreams. Just be your authentic self around these people, and too will see what I've seen in you." Tears welled up in Maria's eyes as she held Stallone's hands firmly. "Thank you so much for helping me. You've inspired me greatly." Stallone gave her a warm smile and he gently tapped her back as he walked on to attend to other guests. That night, not only did she leave with an amazing offer from Lucy Gray, but a new faith and belief in herself. Back at the restaurant, Maria's co-workers noticed a change in her. She carried herself with more confidence, her smiles brighter and her energy more focused. Mrs. Luna, who had always been fond of Maria, pulled her aside and asked her all about the evening with Stallone. She told Maria all about the changes she noticed after that night. Maria shared all her recent experiences with her. Mrs. Luna listened with a warm smile, her eyes glistening with pride. "You've always had potential, Maria. It's about time someone recognized it." Mrs. Luna encouraged her to reach out to Lucy Gray immediately, without any hesitation. Encouraged by the support around her, Maria summoned courage and reached out to Lucy, who had offered her mentorship. Lucy responded and invited Maria to her office for a meeting. The meeting with Lucy lasted a long time, as Lucy actively listened to all Maria had to say. She listened to her speak about college, the places she had previously volunteered, her struggles as a law student, and her aspirations. Lucy sat still and listened with great attention. "You've got grit," Lucy said. "That's exactly what this field needs. Let's see how we can get you some practical experience." Lucy connected Maria with an internship at a nonprofit organization that focused on advocating for marginalized communities. Balancing the internship with her studies and restaurant shifts was challenging, but Maria tackled it with the same resilience that had carried her through life thus far. The work was fulfilling, giving her a glimpse of the impact she could have as a lawyer. With time, Maria's life began to change in ways she had never imagined. She excelled in her studies, drawing from the real-world experiences she gained during her internship. At the restaurant, she continued to serve with the same dedication, but now her co-workers and even some regular patrons looked at her with admiration. Maria's story had become a source of inspiration, not just to those who knew her, but to herself as well. One evening, as Maria prepared to close for the day, her shift was over. Mrs. Luna approached her with an envelope. "This came for you earlier today," she said, handing it over with a knowing smile. Maria opened the envelope to find a letter from Stallone. It was a handwritten note expressing his pride in the strides she had made. Enclosed was another surprise, a scholarship to help her complete her law degree. In the letter, Stallone told her that it was a courtesy of him and Lucy. He told her that he kept tabs on her, and on certain occasions, Lucy was kind enough to share her progress with him. Maria's hands trembled as she read the letter. Tears streamed down her face as she realized the magnitude of Stallone's kindness. He had not only believed in her, but had also taken steps to ensure her success. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Maria resolved to honor his faith in her by continuing to work tirelessly toward her dreams. The scholarship eased many of Maria's financial burdens, allowing her to focus entirely on her studies and her internship. She graduated with honors, her family beaming with pride as they watched her walk across the stage to receive her degree. In the audience, among the cheering crowd, was Stallone, his presence a testament to the bond they had formed and the impact of a chance encounter. As time grew on, Maria found herself standing in courtrooms, representing clients whose voices had long been silenced by systemic injustices. Her journey from a waitress in a bustling Brooklyn restaurant to a respected human rights lawyer had been anything but easy. But it was a journey she wouldn't trade for anything. Stallone's words still resonate within her, reminding her of the power of perseverance and the importance of believing in oneself. Maria's story became a beacon of hope for others facing their struggles. She often returned to the restaurant, not as an employee but as a guest, sharing her journey with the staff and with Mrs. Luna, who had once been her second family. And every time she sat at a table, she couldn't help but smile, remembering the night that changed her life forever.